Let's call a meeting to order, please. Okay, pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you everybody for being here. Okay, James?
For this month here, moment of silence. One is for Barbara Ellers. She actually used to be the town clerk for a while. So we want to remember her. And don't think I mentioned Mickey Randall or Mitchell Randall from Delphi Falls. If I did, right, so we'll mention them again. They're the two. So if we could just, have a moment of silence and God be with the families.
Thank you, James. All right, so our bookkeeper couldn't be here tonight, so he has sent forward the stuff. I was just looking for the email, what he said, but we need a motion to accept the monthly supervisor's report.
I'll make a motion, we accept the monthly supervisor's report.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mhm.
Guess so. Okay. Motion to accept the bank reconciliation reports for the supervisor.
Make a motion to approve the bank reconciliation report for the supervisor.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Mhm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so Jim said that he couldn't be at the meeting tonight. It's quiet month, accounting wise, all very routine. Expenditures, nothing out of the ordinary. So he couldn't be here tonight, so he just sent all the reports to us. So I guess that's all I have as far as the accountant report.
Okay.
Nikki?
Yes, I'm looking for board acceptance. I actually have two sets. I have the March 10th regular meeting minutes and then the March 31st special meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the March 10th regular meeting minutes.
How about the March 31st? I'm doing a separate motion.
Was it March 31st or April 1st? I thought we had.
You want several?
No,
It
it was
was-
Tuesday, March 31st.
It was March 31st. I'll make a motion to accept the March 31st meeting minutes.
Motion to accept both of them.
I can make a motion for both, but I wasn't here for the first one, so I wouldn't know if they're right or wrong.
I'll make a motion for the second one.
You guys
Or I'll second one of yours.
I was like, it was just for the payment of bills. There was one resolution just for the
Right.
payment of
The,
bills.
the meeting lasted 2 minutes. It started at 6:35 and ended at 6:37. All right, so we have a motion on the table to approve the minutes for the special minutes
In the March 10th.
and the March minutes.
So I'll second James's meeting motion for 3/10/2026 regular meeting minutes.
And unless James wants to reciprocate
I'm
yours,
fine.
I'll second your
Yeah.
motion.
All right,
Yep, we're good now.
there we go. Check the box.
Any more discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Okay. Nikki?
Also looking for approval for my bank reconciliation reports for April for both my town clerk and tax collector accounts.
Try to get that out without stumbling us. Make a motion to accept the clerk's bank reconciliation for town clerk. What's the other?
Tax collector.
Tax collector.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Right, carried.
Yeah, the agenda. It should be read off here.
That's not good. And lastly, just approval for the payment of bills for the vouchers I prepared for this month.
Make a motion to pay the bills for the month.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Mhm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
That's it for me.
Thank you very, very much. Of course. Okay, Tim gave us the code officers reports. It looks like there was 6 permits and 1 completion. So,
I'll make a motion to approve the code officer's report.
A second.
any discussion? Favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, carried. Highway superintendent.
Yes. Okay, I got a winter recap for y'all. We did 100 round trips this year. First trip was on Veterans Day, 11/11/25. Last trip to date was 3/23/26. Hopefully that will be the last.
It's not.
Going change. Here, this is real wood.
Knock on wood.
Right?
Salt usage, we used 1,463.95 tons of salt of the 2,000 we budgeted on the county contract, so we're well within our budget for the 25-26 winter season. Sand, we hauled in 2,913.40 tons. That's approximately 150 loads from Delphi to here that we hauled throughout the winter, and we have a decent pile of bulk left to start us off for 26-27 winter season, so that'll help. We got some left over. Spring recap, we have taken down somewhere in the vicinity of 450 markers, as you noticed. Dave, you guys down there,
Yep,
you guys take a lot of them.
a lot of them. We appreciate it.
You got it. We've done that in the last few days, actually, want to get them out while the grass is growing, so they're not in that big sway.
And thanks for not considering mailboxes markers.
Yes, you got it. Actually, you put your own.
I do put my own.
Yeah, that's what I thought. We have started, we're probably a third way through getting the sand sweeping. We got the power sweeping going down developments already. So we're well in motion with spring work. We're also in the process of getting all roads on my list ready to oil and stone, which includes trimming back branches, cutting shoulders, and ditching where it is needed. I'm still working on the pines prices. The prices are pretty volatile right now. It's pretty high, so we'll see if that's gonna happen or not. Fortunately, but hopefully they come down and we can get that in. All our equipment has had their spring services done, so we're in good shape there. We do have currently 2 MEO positions available in the town, so if anybody knows anybody that has a CDL is looking to come up here, come on up. Fill out an application. Well, you do, don't you?
But I tried sitting in the plow, I couldn't reach pedals, remember?
Let me see that.
We have little trucks. Let's see, our Volvo is at the Henderson plant in New Jersey currently with a scheduled start week of 7/31 to install all equipment that has been ordered for that. So hopefully, that won't take too long in the shop there. Let's see, we've also in the last probably 4 weeks hauled 1,500 tons of maize for our chip sealing coming up, and that's all piled up in town. I don't know if everybody's seen it up there, but we got a great big pile. Going getting in preparation for our chip seal in the summer. Our Earth Day,
Coming up.
so our Earth Day coming up the 25th, which is sponsored by the Town of Pompey Environmental Conservation Commission and the Highway Department. Paper shredding by Pro Shred, which is usually, I mean, all this has been a pretty good hit. Electronics recycling by Sun King, household and vehicle battery disposal, which will take all them. Tire recycling, now that's a maximum of 20-inch with no rims. They can't have any rims because they got to go through a recycler. They chip them up, and if they got rims on them, then it's not good. So we got to separate them.
Costs for that?
And there is no cost for that. No.
Because I think the Okra charges you $5 a tire.
If you do it other than Earth Day weekend,
Oh,
yes.
Well, same with a lot of that stuff, electronics, you
Yeah.
know, they charge.
Yeah, they'll charge
TVs
for that.
and-
Anybody who's never been here for, they should come because,
It's pretty interesting. It gets pretty
Yeah.
busy around here.
yep,
Of course, scrap metal will have a big dumpster for any kind of scrap metal that people can haul in. Not a problem. We'll take it all. Well, except for refrigerators, nothing with Freon because we can't technically get rid of Freon if we're not licensed. Any old used motor oil or old fuel oil we'll take. We burn that in the shop all year long, and it offsets the cost of burning regular fuel oil. And it saves us a lot of money. So if anybody's got that, they're more than welcome to bring it up. The Boy Scouts will have a bottle can drive for the 5-cent returnables up here somewheres. And this year we're trying a bicycle drop off. So anybody got any old bikes that sit around the house, they're more welcome to bring them up. We'll store them here And come November, we're gonna take them out to the CNY Family Bike Giveaway, which is out at the State Fairgrounds.
Mm.
And then what they do is, if everybody's familiar, they rebuild the bikes and give them away to kids who
Yeah. It's a great idea.
are a little less fortunate,
That
so.
was started by Jan Malott.
Yep, that's it.
Yep.
So hopefully that catches on real quick. Of course, trash bags, I don't know if people, I'm sure people have already signed up through Onondaga County for picking up trash along the streets. Bring them up. We'll have everything marked through the driveway where anything and everything's gotta go, so hopefully it'll be easy. And I guess that's about it. I think that's all I got.
With the hours.
Saturday, April 25th, 9 AM to noon.
There's also,
Forgive me if you said that.
No, I did not.
I made his own.
No, you're good.
there's a photo contest also going on here. And a lot of other stuff, but there's gonna be a bunch of pictures. You can have a vote on it. It's also going on Facebook.
Yeah. Giving away tree seedlings, seeds. All kinds of stuff,
Yeah.
raffles. Nice. It's a great event.
Yes.
It's really nice, so.
Rock paint for the kids, coffee and donuts.
It's my agenda.
All
right.
Good for you. We've had really great weather
Yep.
for here.
Maybe it'll snow.
Don't say it.
Yeah, right.
Was it last year? It was pouring beer? Like just downpour?
I don't think so. It was nice, at least maybe a couple years ago. That really didn't stop people though.
No.
They don't
Okay.
care. Well, the best part about recycling, it's drive-through.
Mhm.
You'll
Yeah.
you'll only drive in, we'll help
Right.
unload, and then you guys keep on going.
Okay, supervisor's report, Main Street funding update, we're not getting any money for the coming year. Town of Pompey's not being included in that, I've been told the other day. As far as the old Main Street funding project, Noxie's says they're still gonna go forward, with theirs, I've been in touch with them. They're supposed to get back to me in the next couple of weeks. All right, Hometown Heroes. We have some wonderful people who have taken on the Hometown Heroes project, and so they're with us today, and they're gonna give us a little presentation. So come on.
Thank you, Diana. I'm Maureen McChrystal. Full disclosure, I'm a resident of Manlius, but I was born and raised in Pompey, and I'm joined by family members, my sister, Mrs. Colleen Apgar, and my cousin, Mrs. Patty Feeney. We are incredibly grateful for a moment of your time this evening, and further, we appreciate your constant leadership to and service of our community. Similar to neighboring villages, we seek that all of you consider the design, implementation, installation, and maintenance of Hometown Hero banner program here in Pompey. Both the villages of Fabius and Manlius have engaged in this program and been very generous sharing information with us. To begin, there are some considerations to determine and some decisions to be made. I did share a few slides with Diana a few weeks ago. Those considerations do include whether there would be one location or multiple locations in the town of Pompey. The multiple locations that we suggested included the hamlet of Pompey Hill, Orrin, Pompey Center, and Watervale. Certainly the involvement of our highway department, first determining the height of the poles, which will determine the size of the banners, the contacting of National Grid, Spectrum, and Verizon, but I did hear an AT&T bill before the meeting got started, so I didn't know if AT&T should be added to that list. Securing the brackets to the poles and whether or not our very talented highway department would take on that challenge, and then finally hanging the banners to those brackets on the poles. Other items to be determined included the contact person through the town of Pompey, the template design, whether the seasonal dates from Memorial Day to Veterans Day would be agreeable, and finally then sharing information for orders. I have worked up an order form that aligns with both Fabius's design and Manlius. I've also converted it to a Google form as well, which would feed directly to a Google spreadsheet.
Thank you.
Certainly.
So.
I think it's a fantastic idea. And I'm in agreement with you. I will help whoever I can.
You sucked up to a road.
Oh, you see that.
All the right words.
You didn't mention Delphi Falls. Now, would you try to put like the names like in the? I mean, that's a hard part with those other villages was a great, perfect center spot where everything is. This one here, it's all over. So would you suggest like, like if you're more, I mean, because you go from home from from the area, would you like try to put them in the area they were closest to, or what would be your suggestion on that? And I know there is Delphi Falls, the village also.
And we are certainly open to your suggestion.
Can I speak for you?
Of course.
That's a long way down the road, James.
Yeah.
I like it because we've looked into this. Me and Teresa have done a lot of homework on this already, so. We'd be willing to meet with you and let you know what we came up with.
Perfect.
But to get the ball rolling first, and then, yeah, I know what you're talking about, but that's quite a ways down the road.
Okay,
So. Am I cutting you off, James, or?
nope, I'm done.
That prompted a question that I had is, have we collected a list of veterans in the town that would be interested in having their name? Because some people may prefer not to have their names put up there. And how do we go about building that list of potential names to put on?
I think once we are a few steps down the road,
Okay.
we talked about having something available at the Memorial Day Parade in Fabius, knowing that Fabius already has secured their process, but being present there, wondering where things stand with any volunteer fire department efforts around Father's Day weekend.
ASWs might have a list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And starting there, and then I think word of mouth and publicizing on the website.
Our website definitely can.
Right. So number one, thank you all for taking a look at this. I think it's super important to reflect on the dedication of the people that came before us and why we're able to have a free country. I'm all for it. I think 3 years ago, I looked into doing this, and the pushback that I got from the community in general was, where are we going to put so many veterans when we have so few city centers, polls, things like that to use? So no question I want to do it. No question I'll help you. BR, whatever we have to do to make sure we recognize veterans. But I'm not sure of how we're going to carry it out. I want to do it. I want to support you. I appreciate what you're doing. What I was thinking is two different thoughts. One, maybe we have like a concrete monument or something like that developed, not concrete, what do you call it? Marble, granite, something like that. To all the people that serve from the community of Pompey. And when you go back in time and look at some of the cemeteries, man, it goes way, way back. So, who we're gonna recognize and how far back we're gonna go is a pretty big undertaking. Second, where we would put it in, I don't know. I know that there's been a lot of interest from Ralph wanting to do additional space in front here, but maybe even, somewhere here might be appropriate as well. So I think the idea of doing it's great. I want to do it. I want to support you. I definitely would like to help you, whatever you guys decide to do.
Thank you. And maybe the banners are the first step of the banners in terms of beginning that recognition, and then let our biggest challenge be an overwhelming number.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah.
It's my understanding that something will go out to community and they bring forth a name and they do funding, correct?
Yes. that is
So
correct.
it's not really costing the town just BR's time, right?
An expertise.
As far as a point person, I'd like Phil to be the point person with this. He is already familiar with all of you and he has offered to take that on.
Yeah.
So I think that would be great for you guys. You're close, you're neighbors too, right?
Probably in there.
I know.
Maureen lives in Manly.
But I think that we're all like for this program if we can make it work.
Well, we look forward to it.
Okay. So-
Was there an expectation we might be able to pull it off this year? Given the weeks for Memorial Day?
We have high expectations.
From the
There's
people who actually make the
expectations.
banners, how long it takes from order to delivery?
It is about at least 6 weeks, a 6 weeks turnaround. So I think if we are in a space where we can start to advertise for
July
them,
to
yeah,
Veterans Day this year.
sure.
Well, I would like to make a motion that this committee can go forward with their plans and to see if we can make this hometown hero program come to fruition.
Yeah.
I'll
So,
second it.
Any
Mhm.
discussion?
No, I think it's
I
great.
think we just had our discussion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just keep us in post if you need anything, okay?
Certain.
Sure. All right. In our packets, it's a Toshiba, contract. This is the short, you guys have the shortened version. I have the long version, right? Bottom line, thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
The copier is pretty much on its last useful life, so this is the contract for Toshiba. The bottom line cost,
I didn't see a cost on that one.
uh,
I saw a lot of.
It's $195.
48 payments at hundred
Yeah, it's
ninety-five.
$195.73.
Is that a lease? It's
Mhm.
not a purchase, it's a lease.
Right.
yeah, there was a bottom line cost.
It's a
When
lease.
it was all done, it was like 9,300 or something. I don't see that right here right now, but
How long does the lease run?
It's 48
48
48
months.
months.
Okay.
Mhm.
They cover all.
Bill,
maintenance
there you go.
costs.
They cover our, they cover the toner, they cover everything.
So is this a brand new machine?
It is,
With a brand
it's
new-
cheaper to get a brand new machine than for them to fix this one.
and tell them all the features of the new.
So we pay, oh my gosh, if you look at Charter Communications, which is through AT&T that they brought up earlier, I think it's like $66 a month. That's just for our fax. And the fax is through the copier. So with this new copier, the fax is included, so we can drop Charter Communications, AT&T, and save $66 a month by eliminating our fax.
Okay,
So it's a good deal.
Yep. So this Toshiba is gonna be able to have more functionality than the current one.
Yeah.
And
Faster.
save us in other areas.
Okay.
So I need a motion to sign the contract for Toshiba for the new company.
okay, I make a motion, we give Diana the authority to sign the contract for 48 months at 195.73 for the Toshiba copier and lease.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion?
Just a quick question. So Nikki, that says that, so many copies without an additional charge. Is that within the range of what we typically do?
Yeah, it's less, so like colors, we can't make more than 250 color copies a month or we get charged, but none of us print in color. Like, it's a rarity. If I'm doing passports, I have to make a front and back of someone's license. I'll use color, but I never exceed the allotment.
And then those numbers are per month.
Yes,
Okay.
per month, yes. Per month.
So Nikki.
Yes.
A side question, when somebody asks for a Freedom of Information Act, a FOIL on anything,
Mhm.
seeing the cost that we have to pay, how is that included in that request?
I charge them 25 cents a page of what they are asking.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks.
Thanks. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Motion carries. Yeah, that down, Nikki, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, next. So, look, I have a little write-up on the grant update, plus Alma's here and Dave can answer some questions too. We've applied for the Local Government Records Management Improvement Fund. Happy to report that the town timely submitted the grant application requesting just over $61,000 in funding for document conversion of the part of the town's records currently stored as hard copies here in the town hall. This was a competitive New York State grant process, extremely burdensome to complete with a very short turnaround time. Getting this grant application in on time was only possible due to the combined efforts of the town's grant writing firm, the deputy supervisor, the deputy town clerk. If awarded, the grant would allow the town to contract with a company to digitize over 210,000 files and 4,000 oversized records that date back over 60+ years. These files would include parcel records, building permits, inspection reports, planning and zoning board decisions, maps, surveys, and site plans. Once converted to digitals, these records can be easily searchable. This project would free up storage space in the town hall, which is currently over capacity. Expedite the location of records, saving town staff time in searching for the records. Better serve the public and better preserve much used records. Going forward with the proper training, town clerk's office staff will digitize records. Hard copies will only be kept as necessary and required by law. Special thanks to Margaret Thurston at Barton and LaJudas who wrote the application. She did a superb job. Tim Barrett, meeting with everyone discussing his files. Alma and Nikki for all their help with the details. Dave Angelo for his willingness to learn what needed to be done. Renee with her knowledge of the inner workings of the town and its processes, its history, etc., that allowed Margaret to put together the narrative. It was a team effort. The next step is we're waiting to hear from the state if we got the funding, and the grant start date is supposedly July 1st. So they got a lot done in a short period of time and made the deadline. And I got the confirmation that it was received as processed. So not accepted yet, but so thank you everybody for that effort. Okay.
Did we get an inclination on what the town share would be if we got the grant? Because I think when we discussed it, there's potential that we'd have to contribute some of the cost.
Yeah, if we wanted to scan everything that we have, which isn't what this grant's about, that right now there's no portion
Then the town had to
that we
cover.
would have to cover.
Oh,
This,
okay.
the grant would cover the work in the scope that was in the grant application. So we're gonna have to go back for multiple years to scan everything that we have.
Yeah.
And again, it's a competitive process against other people, but I think based on the feedback we got, it looks like we had a good submission package.
Which is awesome. The only cost right now is what we had to pay Barter and the Judas.
Right. Special engineer that we hired to help understand it, put it together, and as she mentioned, there was a bunch of other folks that helped
Yep.
do all the legwork to minimize the cost of the town.
Okay. Not sure why this is on here. I thought we talked about it last month, the Verizon claim. That had to do with the town plow that hit a telephone pole and Verizon submitted a claim against the town. Anything on that or? We haven't heard anything on that.
No.
Okay.
It's been submitted to insurance.
Yeah. Been submitted to insurance.
It's in her hands right now.
Yep. Dave's favorite cat. Here we go, the fruit fly program. Come on. We have to sign, we have a request from the New York European Cherry Fruit Fly Program. They want permission to put traps up throughout the town. It's basically, it's a fact-finding mission to see what kind of insects we have going on up here. I have a nice little picture of the fruit fly. Maybe we can even post it on the town because they want to know if anybody sees them. So we can get that posted up.
So it's not the fruit fly that flies around your house by the bananas.
I was gonna say, put a trap in my kitchen.
Yeah.
All right,
It's a real fly.
Yeah, so if we agree to let them do this, which I'm not sure why we wouldn't. It just, there's yellow boxes that they put in the tree. And then they're treated with some, it's like a bait for the flies. And they check them. I just read this. I think they check them like every 2 weeks. I read on here. So they're regularly monitored.
It's all that.
We don't have to do anything with it. They do the whole thing. So
Would it just be on town land and not on private property?
we're doing right of
Using
ways.
over the roads or something. It's in it like the ash, like the ash for the ones.
Yeah.
Also looking at permission from the board.
Yeah.
To do it on town owned property.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Any
Yeah.
public or, personal,
Private.
they'll go to them.
And that's-
right. So
Yes, you're correct.
Yeah.
So there's an actual thing here that probably if they wanted to do it on somebody's property, because it's got a location granted by phone number, has my permission, this type of thing here, okay? Does anybody see any reason why we
No.
are against them looking for?
Or maybe up
these
all summer,
flies?
just for a certain portion of the season. Didn't say.
I would assume it'd be up all summer.
Yeah.
They were just
They
active.
were purple boxes for the ash board thing.
Yeah, yeah.
They were hanging in trees all over the place and. I mean, I suppose where could happen when it fall down, God. I see no reason.
Yeah.
And I'd make a motion to approve.
Second that, James.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. There you go, Dave. It's more than 30 seconds, but sorry.
Well, I didn't.
That's a very good example.
Should we talk about one?
Okay. All right, all right, serious stuff. Onondaga County Multi-Jurisdictional Mitigation Plan. We have to make a resolution to implement this. It's the FEMA disaster.
Mitigation plan.
Okay, so if something bad happens, FEMA will, if we don't sign this, if we have a catastrophe, FEMA will come help us. If we sign it, FEMA will come help us.
Okay, I make a motion that we sign the Onondaga County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazardous Mitigation Plan.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
No,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Vote carried.
thanks.
Okay. I don't have anything else on my list. Town councilors report. Dave, can we start with you?
Sure.
Because I would love to talk about the Historical Society.
So luckily Ann Shelley's here, so she can give you more of a background, but I'll give you the general gist of how we got here. So when we were doing the research and the homework for the grant application, I wanted to make sure that we touched all the agencies associated with the town. What I learned was we can't necessarily scan and digitize the historical association's documents because we can't give out free services. So lesson learned by me, but it was a great hour spent with Ann, learned a lot about the town. And Ann, why don't you come up and share with everybody the book that and all of the information that was put together about the town. And ultimately the request is, can we have a link online to the digital book about the history of the town? I think it's a great idea. The book's incredible. The pictures are unreal. So take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. Good evening. So we're talking about Pompey, Our Town in Profile. Have you all seen the book? I can send it
Yeah.
around if you haven't. Okay. So this book was originally done in 1975 to be sold in 75 and 76 as part of the bicentennial. There were, Ruth Hotelling is here, so she's helping me with details.
It's made, and there was 300 to 500 of the soft bound copies made, which is the first edition. And I've been going to the second.
So over the past 50 years, there have been two printings. The first was hardcover copies and softcover copies. And then in 94, I think Ruth told me, the town paid for both printings because the town owns the copyright. And in the second printing, only soft covered copies were printed. Well, we're officially out of copies. So the question is, what are our three choices? Just stop. It's out of print, and that's all there is to it. Reprint it, or put it online. And our proposal as the Historical Society is to put it online. And we would be happy to store it on our website. Pompey Historical paid, I think it was in 2023, to have it digitized. So it is digitized, and copies of the files were brought here to the town. And we have them on several different computers, our computer at the Historical Society, but several member computers. So it's spread out in case anybody burns down. We know we've got the digital copies in other places.
It's a different version of the cloud storage.
Exactly. Exactly. Which I don't trust. Different story. So the proposal before you is the Historical Society still uses the book. We get enormous numbers of genealogy requests, and a lot of them relate to what you can find in the book. So we do Xerox pages or take pictures of pages or scan pages and send them off to people for their individual requests. But right now, unless a set of books comes into us, and we do get from estates, we get books back. We sell them at a very reduced rate back out to people who want them. And I think we have a waiting list right now of maybe 2 or 3 people waiting to get copies, but they would be just as happy accessing a digital version. So instead of incurring the expense, our proposal to you is we would be happy to house it on the PompeyHistoricalSociety.org webpage with the all the appropriate copyright caveats. So in other words, we would put all the copyright language on it, that this may not be reproduced in full and sold or used for commercial gain, and that any referencing from it needs to be sure to reference the copyright, and we would give them the language for that. But we would like to be able to make it accessible this way, mostly for fair use and educational purpose. I doubt that there's very many people who are going to take the digital files and try to reproduce this and sell it. I don't think it has that kind of value. However, it still is a very important piece of historical documentation, and some information in it is at conflict with or very different from or in addition to other stuff that's out there. And we know this was well researched. So we'd like to make it more publicly accessible, but not incur the physical copy expense. And so we're asking you if that would be all right, because you, as the town, hold copyright.
Well, thank you for the summary. I think it's a great idea. I'd love to get more people to become more familiar with the history of the town, and that's a great way to do it. I guess I would ask everybody if you have any thoughts or any concerns about doing it. Essentially, it'd be a link on our website that people could click for the book, which would then take you to your website where it's digitally scanned and you could research away. But I like what she said about people can't use it for commercial gain. You can use it for research. You can, do your genealogy, whatever. But, they digitized it. We're going to provide the link. We have the copyright. It's all good. It's all good for the public.
I like it. Is the digitized copy fully searchable? So if somebody went to the website, you could put in like somebody's last name.
Yes,
and
it is searchable.
Very good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the index in the first version was a separate document. The index was not in, so this was created. But in the second printing, the index went right into the second volume, and that is the digitized version. So they are not separate documents. It's just under 50 megabytes between the two files. So there might be a problem for some systems and some home computers to load it, because these are pretty big files. And certainly they can't go through email. They're too big.
Right.
So we could put reduced size PDFs on, but I don't see any reason to do that. Might as well just leave them at the full scope.
I like.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is it, would somebody have the opportunity to download the entire book?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That is the risk. And
Unless
let's
they don't
not,
try to sell it or make a profit.
but let's not minimize that. Once it's out there, the copyright notification doesn't do anything to stop people from taking the digital files and copying them to their own computer.
Right.
Doesn't stop that. All the copyright notice does is put people on notice. If we catch you doing something egregious, we're coming after you.
Right.
But that's the
Steve's coming after.
Right.
Right.
That's right. The sheriff. And thank you. Ruth, anything else you want to add?
No, it's good.
Okay, perfect. So you guys are both in support of doing this, right?
Oh, yes.
We would love to do it, and our board is recommending that we approach you and ask if you would be okay.
And my out-of-state people and out-of-country people will be thrilled to death.
Yeah.
Because I get so many requests from
Yeah,
long distance.
for sure. I'm glad we had our meeting. I'm glad this came up. I'm glad we're able to put it on. So I'll make a motion that we put the book online with the link to your website and,
You give permission, I think, right? Then we have to give them permission to do that.
Yes, that's what.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I would be happy to run the copyright language by somebody if you would like to see it ahead of being posted.
that'd be our copyright expert, David.
I could run
Cameron.
one of our IP attorneys, because I'm not gonna.
It's nothing special, it's just
He's a librarian.
it's just-
time.
Yeah.
standard copyright language.
But Ann, thank you very much. I appreciate you bringing it to our attention. I'm glad we were able to do it.
Wait a
We're
second.
to be able to offer it, especially this year, you know, in the
Yeah,
250th,
250th.
and Pompey Historical is 50 years old this year. So, it's a nice gift to the community.
Yes, for
We have
sure.
time.
Thank you. Thank you.
All in favor?
Bye.
Any opposed? Okay, okay.
Mention your.
Just, yes, please join us again tomorrow night, 7 o'clock.
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
be here with Shelley McCann, our first program of the season. She went back to Panama, and this is her second birding trip. So she does a great job. I think you'd really enjoy it. But the third Wednesday of each month now, we've got some really good programs. So check out our website and check them out.
And June, you may really be interested because we will have a reenactor that has been at many Civil War roundtables. He's a Revolutionary reenactor, and he owns many authentic weapons from that period, and he will be bringing them to the June meeting, so I encourage you to attend.
We need that to.
In July, we'll
Yeah.
highlight some of our veterans.
Does he have to use a metal detector?
Jim Bell, sticker off that.
That's awesome. Thank you.
You got anything else, Dave? Well,
That's it.
James, you got anything?
No, I don't think so this time.
No?
The only thing is, I had brought up about the state comptroller's office doing audits, and they're basically, I think they shared with you the other day, they're booked out for years, and they kind of said if we wanted to audit ourselves, we could.
Okay.
Just kind of a update on that. I was kind of, when I had a conversation with somebody, I kind of thought they would do something a little bit sooner. But
Did you say years up?
Years,
Years,
yeah, they're booked out
years.
like years.
Okay, so what's the alternative?
So what I would suggest the alternative, the gentleman who wrote the presentation that I gave at the last meeting.
Mhm.
He couldn't make it tonight, but he has volunteered to do a Zoom call with us next month if we can put him on the agenda.
Okay.
He can probably do more justice to that presentation than I could.
Okay.
Anything else?
Mm-mm.
Okay, do we
Thanks.
have, anybody signed up for public comment tonight?
Yes.
Yay.
Dan? Yeah, thank you. It's like the honeymoon's over, Diana. How's everybody doing tonight? It's a good presentation. So, Dan McClung, I wanted to take an opportunity to address the board regarding some documents that have been floating around our community regarding a music festival that's been planned at Heritage Hill. Specifically, there was a determination that was sent around that was made by the codes enforcement stating that, and I quote, "While the usual capacity may be exceeded for a special event, all other considerations, including those related to music, hours of operation, and lighting must remain in effect." The determination goes on to state that outdoor music must end by 10, which I can only assume is an error as the site plan does state 9. For those that don't know, the site plan states to assure reasonable compatibility with surrounding residential and agricultural uses, the following conditions are imposed. Music on the approved site will be regulated in the following manner. Outdoor music may occur at the approved site only on the bandstand as showed on the site plan. It may be live music only, maximum of 4 days per week in a single 3-hour block per day, all music to cease by 9. There's a paragraph about ambient music, which wouldn't apply. The level of music from any source on the premises may not exceed 65 decibels at the property line. Now, the festival, as advertised, clearly violates all these with the exception of the decibel limit. And in practice, it's almost certainly going to violate there as well. So, mind you, these were not our conditions. We asked for equal treatment given other similar businesses in the town, most notably the Mapstones Event Barn, which had been approved shortly before this. However, Heritage Hill was granted far more leeway, despite one of the planning board members
stating the music was annoying at a visit to the surrounding properties, and by being a far more thickly settled residential area. These conditions were agreed to by Mr. Palladino, and he assured the board that he would have no problem following them. So my ask is a really simple one. What is the town going to do to enforce the site plan? I'm sure some of you are thinking, give it a rest. It's just one weekend. And quite frankly, I would be inclined to agree. However, it's not one weekend. In addition to this event, there's an entire summer concert series that's being advertised. And if history is any indication, many of these concerts will also violate the site plan. And I want to be very clear. This is not about shutting down a music festival. I'm a huge music fan myself. I love going to concerts. It's not about that. But this is about integrity. This is about the law. This is about addressing what in the past was a constant and increasing intrusion into our lives. This was historically has been a big problem. And now it's starting to boil again. So simply put, if this is allowed to stand, we need some form of assurance that we're not going to be subjected to constant loud music again. We don't want to go there again. We just don't. So as always, I'm open to talk about how we can resolve this situation amicably. And I look forward to hearing how the board's going to proceed. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, no,
Evening, everybody. Tim Gosher, Bratz Falls Road. Been a while since I spoke to you all. Probably all thankful for that. Follow up on what Dan was saying. We first learned about the proposed Bright Vibes Music Festival on April 1st when we saw it on social media and heard it advertised on 95X. And what's posted on social media, and we all know how accurate that is, but what's posted as availability for tickets are 2,000 two-day passes, and an additional 2,000 single-day passes, and 250 VIP passes. That's over 4,000 people a day that this is being planned for. Oh, and bring your tent, because you can all stay in camp, which is something new in a farm district, and multiple bands each day. When we heard this, we filed a FOIL request. Nikki, thank you. And there wasn't much in the file, but what appears to be is that there's been discussion going on since late February with the town. And we didn't hear anything about it from the code enforcement officer in your March report or in tonight's report. We had to hear it on 95X. So
Yeah, go ahead.
in Mr. Barrett's letter back to Mr. Palladino, he said, I make the following determination, not guidance, not anything else. That as the festival is one of the site plans considered during the planning board's approval of the site plan, the festival may be held so long as it is operated in the same manner and during the same hours as it had been operated. That's factually incorrect. And I know we're going way back in history, but I can tell you that I was at every one of the meetings of the planning board when that site plan was approved. The Bright Vibes Festival was never discussed. And in fact, if you read the resolution, it specifically calls out farm days. Empire Farm Days is a special event. So we get that. But to say or somehow insinuate that the planning board has already kind of pre-approved Bright Vibes is inaccurate, wholly inaccurate. The planning board didn't get an opportunity to review the last Bright Vibes Festival in 2022. They have never looked at this festival. And even if they had, this is not the same event as it was in 2022, which was a one-day event. This is being advertised as at least two, with over 4,000 tickets available. And even if it were an identical event, what the resolution says is that it has to be presented to the planning board first. And the planning board may, but isn't required to, but the planning board may then refer it to the code enforcement officer for an administrative review. None of that has happened. Now, I know we may be a little bit ahead of ourselves because this is planned for July, but the city board meets once a month and the planning board meets once a month. We're talking meetings and then we're there. We need to be assured that the process is going to be followed. And if this festival is approved, that the restrictions that are in place that Dan mentioned and that are set out in the resolution, and Tim Barrett has said, these are the conditions, that those are going to be enforced because they haven't always been. Thank you.
Yep, sure.
Thank you.
Thanks. So just a couple of points just off the top of my head. Dan, you mentioned the music and all that, and I remember I sat through the planning board meetings, and I do remember them saying that, you know, what the decibel level had to be, and I haven't reviewed the site plan in a while. I'll give you that. You two probably know more about the site plan than I do. With that said, my understanding was that they could have four events.
I believe it was 3 special events.
Three special events?
That was 3.
All right, did you review?
Just my conversations with Tim previously.
Okay.
Back in February.
So were they, I mean, I'm assuming this is considered a special event?
It would have to be with the attendance, yeah.
So I need to get some more clarification on the whole situation, to be honest, to be able to answer either one of your questions intelligently enough to be able to say yes or no. But I'm sure we'll follow whatever the site plan was, because my understanding is the planning board set the rules of the road, which were the site plan.
Exactly.
And that's, I'm sure, what the town's gonna follow. Ultimately, the code enforcement's officer's job is to make sure that the site plan's followed.
Yep. And as I said, the code's enforcement officer, the document that's been shared around. So that said, in his determination, the music, he specifically mentioned these site plan requirements. And the ask is to make sure that they're enforced.
And so are you suggesting that the code enforcement officer's interpretation is wrong?
No.
Or incorrect, or? So you say no, you say yes?
Well, we're talking about different things. We're talking about different things. So
Okay,
I'm referring to, Tim Barrett said, and this is a quote from the thing, usual capacity may be exceeded for a special event. This is a special event, as we're
Okay.
talking about,
by
because
that.
he's limited to 576 people on a
Okay.
normal day.
Mhm.
Special events, he's having more, fine.
Right,
All other considerations, including those related to music, hours of operation, and lighting must remain in effect. This is from Tim Barrett, right?
yep,
So, here's the requirements related to music. That's what I'm referring to.
okay,
And
What I'm referring to, Dave, is the question of whether or not there is effectively, these are my words. That the planning board has already pre-approved to allow him to make an administrative decision as to whether the thing can go forward at all. And Tim points out in his letter saying, the planning board has already done this. The planning board brought this up in the process, the site plan approval process, and they've never reviewed this. So, and even if they had, again, according to the resolution, my interpretation of the resolution for what that's, it has to be presented to the planning board, and then the planning board can, if it wishes, refer it to the code enforcement officer to say, you do the review. None of that has been done.
Jim, you're saying that Tim has sent to Heritage Hill that he has granted permission for their festival under the terms, is that kind of the essence of what you believe has happened?
I don't want to speak for Tim.
But he sent a letter from the town saying
Didn't provide this letter.
okay,
So part of the FOIL request, when they had reached out to me, I gave them everything that I had. They came back to me and said, there's a little bit something more. And I said, okay, so I reached out to Tim, and Tim, they were CC'd on the email. Tim goes, yeah, I actually have something more that you didn't have access to. So Tim sent it to me and I gave it to them. So that's how they have this letter. I mean, it's foilable, but there was a letter sent to Mr. Palladino on Tim's behalf that this is what they're talking about, and I can email all of you in the morning. I'll give
When
you
you
this
say
letter.
shareable, we haven't seen what you're talking about.
Understood.
But-
Yeah.
Wasn't shared with us, and I only found about the festival, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
We're all just hearing about this.
It may feel like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We're all just hearing about this. That's why we're having.
When they foiled me, I'm like, what festival's going on?
One quick follow-up.
The planning board
I have,
report that said granted this, so we can all review that as well.
I will email all of you.
Thanks.
All right, one last thing, go ahead.
I sent an email to Mr. Barrett, copy to Dave. copy to Amelia, copy to you, Diana. Just saying, can we sit down and talk about this? Because I want to understand. I want to understand what it is Tim is really saying in that letter. And I want to understand how the conditions that are in the site plan are going to be enforced. I did get a response from Amelia this afternoon that said, giving me kind of her interpretation of Tim's letter. But nobody has said, yes, let's sit down and talk. And that's what I'm trying to do, is get ahead of it, sit down and let's talk about it. Because you know how these things kind of take on a life of their own. And if it happens on the eve of when this thing is going to happen, it's not going to be good for anyone.
If we're gonna have a conversation, I'd like to be involved as well.
Have you addressed this with the planning board at all?
They don't meet till next week.
Is that your plan though?
If it's on the agenda, we don't have the opportunity to speak at the planning board unless there's a public hearing. So
Gotcha.
don't know if it's going to be on the agenda or not.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anybody else, Dave?
Lisa?
Yeah, I was. Kind of taking a turn now, though. I just want to point out that historically, enforcement of violations or complaints against Heritage Hill, when there are obvious violations to the site plan approval, have gone unaddressed. They're not acknowledged by our code enforcement officer. No proof of any investigations are done. There's no follow-up with the people who are filing the complaints. So given all this new information and based on the fact that this music festival is 8 weeks away, what are the dates?
10, something.
And you meet once a month, the planning board meets once a month, and it's very concerning to me that it appears the correct process has not been followed. So who's going to be at the festival to ensure that there's no violations? And if there are, to enforce them? Because I know I have called Tim in the past when stuff is going on. He doesn't answer his phone. I've been told, well, he can't get here. He lives far away. If he's our enforcement guy, what's he going to do to ensure that what he lays out is followed? We pay him a lot of money to not enforce the rules and regulations.
You said something,
Go ahead, Phil.
I was gonna say, you said that Tim doesn't even acknowledge that a complaint's been filed.
No.
Isn't he obligated to
Yes,
acknowledge? to
in the E-codes, he's supposed to acknowledge a complaint. Does not do that.
Well, it's without going through an entire civics lesson, what the code enforcement officer doesn't answer to this board. It answers to the state, right? So coming to the board and saying, what are you going to do? The answer is the planning board is responsible for doing enforcement or site plan, et cetera. So that I would suggest is the forum for.
If I-
So, let me finish. So and more specifically, if someone came here by way, it might be an exaggerated example. If someone said, we think that the light on your garage is far too bright, it's not, you don't get to dictate where the code enforcement officer goes and what he does or she does, right? So to say who's going to be there to enforce it, in theory, it's the code enforcement officer has the responsibility for enforcing all of the laws around here and making sure that codes are followed. Does that mean that Tim has a responsibility to, if there is a special event on a particular day, can this board dictate that he go there? The answer is no. The answer is no. If the code enforcement officer
is not doing what he is supposed to do, enforcing the codes, then there's and I'm not here to
I understand.
answer the question of there are procedures in place to address code enforcement officers not doing their job.
Mm.
But for the same reasons that every single person could parade in here and say, well, my neighbor did this and my neighbor's doing that. We have, this town has chosen to have one part-time code enforcement officer. As I've said in prior meetings, I represent towns that have 4 and 5. It all depends. If you had 4 and 5 code enforcement officers in Pompey, I rest assured there'd be a lot more people here complaining about restrictions being put on their lives and saying, what do you mean I can't burn a fire or do something like that? So that is the town's choice. So I hear what you're saying, and I don't disagree that site plan, and I just became aware of the issue today when I got Amelia's response. But I can assure you that from a planning board standpoint, they have every reason to enforce whatever the site plan is. That's the intention. If the procedure wasn't followed correctly, then that will have to be corrected. But in terms of telling someone, the code enforcement officer, again, which this board, I can't call Tim and say, I want you to be there. Diana can't call and say, I want you to be there. His response is, I'm doing my job. I'll do my job the way I feel I should.
Understood. So what happens, and what I'm referencing is our town e-codes that specifically say you fill out a form if you have a complaint. That complaint goes to the code enforcement officer, who will acknowledge the complaint to whoever filed the complaint, will investigate and follow up with the results of the investigation. That does not happen. So if something happens during this festival and there's people defecating in my backyard again, like the other one, who do I call? Where do I file a complaint? And what's going to be done about it? And if you can't tell Tim that he's the person, who is?
Well, if someone's defecating in your backyard, then I would suggest calling the sheriff. That's not.
And if the music's over the 65 decibels?
Then you would file a complaint with Tim.
Okay. And like I said, it's after the fact. He can't investigate. He can't investigate while it's happening. So how do you?
Again, I think the same general rules apply. It's unfair, frankly, to say. Now, in a special event situation, if you say, Tim, maybe should be there, I could see that argument for sure. But to say, well, after the fact, he can't investigate, well, no enforcement agency can. All you can do is, we can't prevent murders, we can't prevent speeding. You can react to it, you can investigate it after it happens, but there is no agency that can stand there and stop bad things from happening.
Right.
Right. So just to be fair, I hear what you're saying. My humble opinion is, I don't think this board has the ability to really do anything. It's the planning board. And if you're not satisfied with the planning board's decision or failure to follow procedures, then there's a zoning board of appeals that you can go to. There's a system in place, right? But I respectfully, it's not this board.
It doesn't flow though, Dave, with all due respect. It doesn't work the way it's supposed to. It doesn't work the way it's laid out. And who hires Tim? Who pays?
Or we
who
made a
sends his
decision,
paycheck?
she signs his paycheck.
And it's the taxpayers that pay that money, right?
But there's, right, but, and much the same way that the planning board is a separate entity. It acts independently from this town board.
Mhm.
And Tim's relationship works hand in glove with the planning board. My simple point is that And I've referenced it. I'm not unsympathetic to what you're saying, but for years, I've listened to you all, which is your absolute right to complain to the board about various things that really this board, unless there's a lot, like going back to the site plan, unless there was some law change, that's what this board does, but it doesn't control what the planning board does. It doesn't say over that. So my simple point is, this is a planning board issue. I don't disagree that whatever the site plan says, that's what the rules are. And if they're not complied with, then the code enforcement officer should probably do something about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say something. So the old adage about those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. I think we all know the history between the neighbors that surround it. And I don't think anybody wants to end up in that situation again. So if we sit here and do nothing, we're gonna end up in that situation again.
No,
I would
Phil, I guess,
essentially say, what
is it?
what should you do?
Perhaps as Jim discussed, have a joint meeting and see if we can't work this out. Maybe somebody can facilitate. I know
That is entirely up to Tim. Tim can meet with you. Tim can meet with them. That's Tim's decision. He doesn't have to. There's no law and there's nothing that says he has to. And frankly, it's his interpretation of the site plan that rules until a court says otherwise, right? So with respect, I can give my opinion as to what the site plan says. Jim can, Dave can, you can. Those opinions and thoughts really don't count. It's the code enforcement officer is the one responsible for interpreting the site plan and issuing a violation if a violation occurs. I don't make the rules. I don't set up the New York system, right? That's the state that did that.
Dave, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, and as Dave mentioned, there's a process to go through, planning board, zoning board of appeals. I mean, honestly, I would suggest going down that path so that history isn't repeated.
Yeah.
So that we have more of a background as opposed to, we don't want this to happen. Okay, follow the process that's outlined. And if we're not doing it right, you have every right to bring it to our attention and we'll try to work through it. So.
I mean, how does she get on the planning board's agenda things? I'm just asking for her.
That's,
Well, I'm trying to.
I know, to
Easy
Jim's
answer.
point, you can't walk into the planning board meeting and speak like this.
Right.
So again, it's broken.
Okay.
Have you written to the planning board or
Have you talked to
sent a
Sue?
request to the planning board?
We
to
just
get on?
got the FOIL request, so
Okay.
we're 2 days into this and it's going to be a problem. We don't want to take the town into another huge, expensive lawsuit. So we're looking for some guidance. And if you guys can talk to the planning board, try and figure this out, get Tim in the room with us so he can explain this determination that he says, we could have a conversation. But court should not have to.
I agree. But I would suggest that you start. I'm not counseling you guys, but I would start with making a request to the planning board to have an opportunity to be heard on this at their next meeting.
Right.
If you haven't done that yet, I would strongly encourage you to do that
Okay,
and
and
start there. Right?
Lisa, I'll
Because it's
do
important to remember.
I'll formulate an email tomorrow.
It's important to remember as well that my understanding of this is that there have been no permits issued. And to my understanding, that letter requested various different things from Mr. Palladino. I'm not aware that anything has been received in that regard, and nor will, as I understand it, a permit be issued until the enforcement officer gets what he has requested.
Mhm.
So
what's that process? So he requests a permit from Tim Barrett. Right? Is that how?
Yeah.
He would.
Again, we're not the experts in that. I would strongly suggest contact Sue, write Sue an email, get on the agenda, go talk to Sue and follow through with the planning board. That would be my suggestion to start with, at the very least. And I think the last thing to your comment, Bill, about history, I don't think anyone in this room wants to go down the road of the animosity and the anger and the angst that was created from Dan saying he's gonna change his site to doing a meatpacking plant to a new site plan to what was approved to $130,000 lawsuit. I don't think anybody wants that. So whatever we can do to work through it amicably, I'm all for it.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
If anybody ends up on your property, well, that's trespassing and you need to attract.
I know that.
You need to get that
I know that.
correctly.
And Lisa, if you do approach the planning board about speaking and they refuse to hear you, please let us all know.
So,
Okay.
thanks.
I'd like to add one or two things, if I may. First off, David Angelo, you had mentioned, hey, if you guys don't want this, I'd like to point out that's not what I said. I said, if this event is happening, we want to make sure it follows the site plan approved.
Right.
It wasn't hey, we don't want it to happen. We want it to follow the rules. Now, Dave Gabriati, things you said, well, this is an enforcement board. Well, that is exactly the opposite of what the planning board told us. This is where the confusion has come from. The planning board said, we just approve, the town board enforces. That's what we were told. So now I need a civics lesson here, fine, because I don't know. I just know what I'm told. So, the reason I'm pointing this out isn't to point fingers. It's just to point out there's a reason there's a little confusion here because the process has been very obfuscated, which has made it very difficult for people to make the right decisions. If we got to send a letter to somebody, we'll do it. If we got to talk to somebody, we'll do it. But if one board says talk to them and that board says talk to them, and then the town attorney says, no, you're doing it wrong, you got to talk to them, nobody knows what's going on. So
That's fair. That's fair.
yeah,
I've never heard that the planning board, I mean, enforcement is exclusively in the province of the code
I
enforcement officer.
understand that. Yeah.
So
Now-
if the planning board said that this board is the enforcement agency,
The
I would disagree with what the board said.
The planning board has said the town board directs the codes enforcement officer enforcement. One of the prior codes enforcement officer had stated that they had received a direction on what to enforce from the town board. These are things that we've heard, right? So that's where there's confusion.
Yeah.
And I'm not a lawyer. I'm just some guy. So I don't know what's right or what's wrong.
I think what we need maybe to do is get our own civics lessons so that we
Yeah.
all truly understand the exact way things are supposed to happen.
Exactly.
Dave, would this be spelled out in the town laws or is it just a
It's
general
probably-
New York State law?
The code enforcement officer answers technically to the attorney general of the state of New York.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't answer to that position, not it, but that position doesn't answer to this board.
Right.
That's where, and again, I understand, and I know that there's past frustrations and there's whether, and I'm not gonna sit here and say whether the code enforcement officer has followed up and done
Yeah, like I
exactly
said,
what he's supposed to do. I don't know.
Yeah, we're just trying to follow the process here.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to point out is, and I know I'm blowing through my time here, but the last thing I want to point out, because I think it is really important, is you talk about, well, the codes enforcement officer can look at things the day after, and the codes enforcement officer doesn't have to be there, blah, 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 blah. This is a case where there's blatantly, openly advertising violations. We're talking 9 hours of music when the site plan says 3. Tim's already made a determination that those conditions apply. Like this is not well, there might be a violation and we'll look into it afterwards. This is somebody saying, I'm going to break my site plan. They're advertising it, they're profiting from it actively. So this isn't a matter of like, well, let's wait and see, at least in my opinion. This is something that we gotta get ahead of. Otherwise, this is gonna be a problem.
Dan, what I was trying to determine from your comment was, are you talking about what's called out in the site plan for a regular day? And that was I thought where you were going, that the site plan says you can have 3 hours of music and it has to end at 9 and like the standard stuff that Dan's supposed to follow on a day-to-day basis to run his business at Heritage Hill, to have music on the grandstand, bandstand.
And that applies.
That part I buy.
Yeah.
The part that we need to get clarification on, in my mind, is the 3 events. I don't believe, based on my memory from 3 or 4 years ago,
That's not.
that
what
those
site plan
three
says.
events, that those 3 events, I believe, were outside of the standard 3 hours of music.
First off, that's not what the site plan says.
Okay.
Secondly, that's not what Tim Barrett said.
Okay.
So Tim Barrett's determination and the site plan agree that these conditions apply even for special events.
Okay.
And that's what's that's what's the document.
Then we're gonna have to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm happy to talk with Amelia, who, as you all know, mainly does the planning board stuff. So if I can tell you from my opinion that if there is something that is blatantly in violation of the site plan approval, as the attorneys for the planning board, I certainly wouldn't recommend that. Like that's if the site plan, now I haven't read the site plan in a year either, but probably more than that. But if what is proposed is not compliant with the site plan, then I'm happy to weigh in on that. But
Well,
ultimately,
that's the board's call, and that's why we're here.
I disagree with it. That's not this board's call.
Well, somebody's got to pay you, right?
Well, no, they approve funding, but we are the attorneys for the planning board. Some towns have attorneys for the town and a different attorney for the planning board. In this town, we happen to represent both. So it's not, I respectfully disagree. It's not this board.
Fair
But
point taken.
it's a planning board.
Is it acceptable to say that Nikki will forward us the site plan for Hamilton Hill? The board will review it and it can come up as a discussion point at the next meeting.
Yeah, and to be even more practical about it, there is nothing stopping this board from having individual conversations, if you wanted to, with Tim or members of the planning board. Do they have to listen to what you're saying? No, but could it help? Sure, absolutely.
Just remember, no more than 2 of us can be there at the same time.
Right.
Dave, doesn't the planning board answer to the town supervisor?
The answer is the planning board does not necessarily answer to the town supervisor. No, it doesn't.
No?
It's an independent board.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
practically
well,
speaking,
didn't you
if
appoint
they're
the
not doing
chair?
their job right, then the town would have to do something about it.
Does
But
she
it has to
appoint the
make
chair Of the board?
I'm sorry?
Does this town supervisor appoint the chair and the members of the town?
Appointing them doesn't have anything to do with what their role is and what their responsibilities are.
But they have to act in accordance with town of Pompey laws, right? They
Yes.
can't do something that violates the town of Pompey laws. So that's the
I would agree with
guideline.
that 100%. I would agree with that 100%.
And I think it's good that you're bringing it forward ahead, so at least it is nice that we can try to get ahead of it and point you in the right place to. Yeah, let's figure it out. Let's work through this so we don't end up in another big mess. Yeah, but that's all we're asking. Let's see if we can work through it. It's
Okay,
thank you.
all right, suit.
Oh,
I'm on the list.
I'm sorry. Hold
Alma, you waited very patiently. Thank you.
It was hard. All my heart beat 2703 Ridge Road, Manlius, New York, 13104. I'm also the deputy clerk to Nikki for the town. And I'm listening to all this about poor Tim Burr. Let me tell you, I'm not here every day, but when I'm here, and Nikki probably hears more of it or sees how many people call, come in, complain, and he has to take time to do all that. Plus, go to the sites and check everything. Part-time, not full-time. He puts everything into the town of Pompey. I want people to know how much he cares about us. And he does do his job. And I hope you guys all support him.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
motion to adjourn?
No, Alma, thanks. I appreciate it. We do all support Tim and understand that it's a part-time position for a lot of problems.
And there's a lot of people in this town
Tim
that
does a good job.
send letters, emails, show up in person, right, Nikki?
Yeah, he's busy. He's very busy.
And he's out there trying to figure out everything else.
Right.
Okay,
Anything online?
that's it.
Anything online?
I don't.
Oh,
It doesn't look like it now.
Okay.
Dave, this thing, do I sign this one or this just says sample on the top? The resolution?
No, I gave you, I didn't give you that.
Oh, okay.
That's another paper.
I thought this was the
The
FEMA.
resolution, Nikki has a copy and,
I want to make sure I get it signed.
yeah, it's.
So
Is it for the hazard mitigation plan?
the FEMA thing,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll pass it down. You sign this and then I'll get that sent in.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Make
No
sure-
paperclip. Huh?
No, I'm here.
No, I staple.
I have a paper clip.
Okay,
Oh, okay. That makes it official.
Yeah.
just don't leave till you have everything signed, please be signed, okay? Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
So Nikki, you
Yeah,
it's not me.
do I sign it?
You say, it says, town clerk.
She picks all the originals. Yes. My boyfriend's dinner at 8:30. I couldn't.
We'll put it.